The story begins in Russia, alongside a tranquil river where a family of 3 relishes their time together. Young Sergei Alyoshkov, the most junior member, animatedly shares tales of his tree-climbing adventures with his older brother and mother. Abruptly, the peaceful scene is shattered by the roar of German fighter jets overhead. The mother urgently urges her children to seek cover in the nearby foliage. Undeterred by fear, the 6-year-old brandishes a slingshot and miraculously destroys the encroaching aircraft. Amid the chaos, he realizes his family has vanished. Startled awake from the haunting dream, Sergei cries out for his mother. A knock at the door provides momentary solace, but instead of his mother, a frantic neighbor woman enters. Grateful for his survival, she delivers the devastating news that Sergei's mother and brother are no more. The young boy struggles to understand the gravity of the situation, insisting on waiting for his mother's return. The neighbor reveals the grim reality that the Germans have invaded and implores Sergei to flee. As soldiers close in on their position, she helps him escape through a window. Tragically, she is struck down before she can follow. Alone and bewildered, 6-year-old Sergei faces an uncertain future without family or friends. Sergei dashes away from his burning home, leaving behind the fiery destruction that once was his neighborhood. Desperate cries for his mother go unanswered as he sprints into the unknown. Eventually, he finds himself deep within a forest, feeling lost and alone. As night falls, the young boy pleads for his mother to rescue him. The next morning, Sergei quenches his thirst at a river, only to spot enemy soldiers approaching. Instinctively, he seeks refuge within the gnarled roots of a tree. Despite the unnerving presence of a snake nearby, he remains silent, his fear of the soldiers far greater than that of the serpent. After the soldiers depart, leaving their leftovers behind, Sergei seizes the opportunity to satisfy his hunger. Yet, the day's end finds the boy utterly drained. He has been without a proper meal for 2 days, and his aimless wandering takes its toll. Weakened, Sergei stumbles but continues to forge ahead. He happens upon wild berries and hastily consumes them, only to be startled by a nearby explosion. Disoriented, he hallucinates a figure approaching him. Mustering all his courage, he warns the apparition that he has a rifle and is unafraid. Sergei takes a few more labored steps before collapsing, unconscious. As Sergei slumbers, 2 soldiers happen upon him. The scene transitions to a Russian army base where Commander Kuznetsov awaits the return of his patrol unit. They arrive with the frail and wounded boy in tow. Once reassured that the soldiers are allies, Sergei warms up to them and shares his name. The base personnel, including the usually stoic commander, are visibly touched by the young boy's presence. The soldiers and Commander Kuznetsov rally around Sergei, providing him with nourishment and care. A nurse, Katya, tends to his injuries and becomes enamored with his spirited nature. Sergei requests she draw a tank on his bandages, proudly proclaiming his aspirations to become a soldier. His presence brings a sense of comfort and levity to the injured soldiers at the base. Sergei's curiosity is piqued by the commander's firearm and badge. The commander indulges the boy's inquisitiveness, answering his questions and even allowing him to hold his honorary pistol after ensuring it is unloaded. Beaming, Sergei displays the tank illustration on his bandages, boasting about his future as a soldier. Remarkably, the boy's recovery progresses at an impressive pace. Nurse Katya implores the commander to let Sergei remain with the battalion, but he refuses, insisting it is safer for the boy to be sent to an orphanage. In the meantime, the soldiers grow increasingly fond of Sergei, spending their free moments in his company. They shower him with food parcels from their families and share their equipment, such as binoculars for him to play with. The bond between Sergei and the soldiers strengthens, providing them with much-needed respite from the harsh realities of war. One soldier even petitions the commander to reconsider his decision, but he remains steadfast in his commitment to Sergei's safety. Unexpectedly, an enemy attack leaves many soldiers wounded. A vehicle arrives to transport Sergei to the orphanage, and the commander presents him with a wooden honorary pistol as a parting gift. In response, Sergei embraces the commander, expressing his concern for the man's safety. Moved by the boy's display of affection, the commander relents and invites Sergei to stay at the base as his adopted son. The soldiers, overjoyed by the decision, search for miniature soldier attire for Sergei. That night, the commander awakens the boy and gifts him the uniform. Sergei gleefully dons the clothes and races around the base, every inch the young soldier. The battalion lovingly refers to him as their little soldier boy, welcoming him as one of their own. In the midst of Sergei's playful antics, the German forces initiate an aerial assault on the battalion. The soldiers hastily escort Sergei to safety before engaging the enemy. As casualties mount, Sergei, eager to contribute, brings water to the parched soldiers. When a visually impaired soldier requests that he read a letter from home, Sergei admits his inability to read but proceeds to fabricate a heartwarming tale about a cow on the soldier's farm. Despite the obvious inaccuracies, the wounded soldiers humor the boy and find solace in his creative storytelling. In a subsequent scene, Katya and the commander share a conversation, hinting at an underlying attraction between them. However, they keep their feelings unspoken. Sergei, inspired by his growing role in the battalion, proudly adopts the title of orderly. After witnessing the destruction of a soldier's post, the commander teaches Sergei the solemn gesture of removing one's hat to honor a fallen comrade. The following day, Sergei pleads for a mission, and the commander assigns him the responsibility of distributing letters among the soldiers. He carries out the task with enthusiasm and even convinces the soldiers to dance for his amusement. The next day, Sergei ventures a short distance from the base, armed with his binoculars. He spots a suspicious movement beneath a haystack and rushes back to alert the soldiers. Though initially doubtful, they accompany the boy to investigate. To their surprise, they uncover 2 German spies hiding within the haystack. The spies are apprehended, and Sergei is commended for his keen observation. That evening, the commander presents Sergei with the official adoption papers, legally establishing himself as the boy's father. Aware of the commander's affection for Katya, Sergei endeavors to repay the kindness by encouraging him to confess his feelings. However, upon seeing Katya in conversation with another man, they mistakenly assume she has a romantic interest elsewhere. Suddenly, the base comes under attack from German forces. Sergei bravely assists the soldiers by delivering ammunition to the front lines. However, the soldiers, concerned for his safety, order him back to the shelter. There, Sergei discovers the commander and others in a state of panic, as they have lost communication with the colonel. A soldier is dispatched to repair the damaged wires, but is gravely injured in the process. Sergei follows the wounded soldier, learns how to mend the wires, and successfully restores the connection. Reinforcements are called in, and thanks to Sergei's quick thinking, the 6-year-old hero saves the day. Subsequently, the commander and Katya share a heartfelt conversation by the riverbank. The commander professes his love for her and asks if she would become Sergei's mother. Overwhelmed with joy, Katya is about to respond when a soldier interrupts them with a dispatch letter, indicating they must leave for a new base. The following day, the soldiers, along with Sergei, depart for their new assignment. En route, they encounter a minefield that claims several vehicles and injures the commander. The group's orderly, a close friend of Sergei's, perishes in the explosion. Grieving, Sergei embraces the commander as they press onward with the injured in tow. Upon arriving at the new base, they are greeted by the commander's superior, the general. He commends Sergei's determination and congratulates the commander on raising such an exceptional child. The next day, their division receives a prestigious guards banner, and Sergei is also honored. Accepting his badge from the general, the boy pledges his commitment to protecting his country. One fateful night, the base is subjected to a brutal attack, leaving the commander trapped beneath the rubble. Distraught, Sergei calls out for his father and attempts to rescue him. His cries alert the other soldiers, who swiftly come to the commander's aid and successfully free him. The following day, Sergei visits the injured commander, his hands bearing the wounds sustained during the rescue. Now an integral member of the team, Sergei has found a new family among the soldiers and accompanies them on every campaign. As the story concludes, the regiment is depicted en route to another base, with a voiceover recounting how Sergei eventually participated in the Battle of Stalingrad and journeyed with the soldiers to Poland. His extraordinary story of valor has earned him the distinction of being the youngest soldier ever, and his inspiring tale of courage now resonates across the globe.